but we're definitely gonna get the show on the road because folks that are listening didn't announce it just yet because I don't know how many folks are going to show up. But basically, we're going to be doing some D&D, and I will be the DM tonight. So we're going to have some, yeah, if you like D&D, we're going to be hosting that. It'll be pretty much right after this, probably maybe about an hour or two difference. Yeah, if you like D&D, then definitely stick around. We'll have a session go on with a couple of our drive volunteer artists from our membership drive. If you don't know what our membership drive is, then I highly suggest that you check it out because InkBlot is only possible for those that are supporting InkBlot for, let's say, $3, as low as $3 a month. So is this a paid ad? Yes, it is. And no, it's not because I don't get paid as a founder. So congratulations. But anyway, I am Jay, and I will be, pretty much hosting this, and I have my lovely, lovely guest here, Postmodern Art Podcast, but I'm pretty sure they have a name. And then I also have Rune Owl, but I'm pretty sure Rune Owl has a name. But I will let them introduce themselves before my staff also jumps in. So, who wants to take a crack at it?
Rune, I'd say you go first.
Oh, put me on the spot. I see how it is.
Yes, exactly.
I'm Rune Owl. It's all right. I'm Rune Owl. I'm not sure what you'd like me to say. I have a portfolio on thesnowfinch.com. I am currently an art director for a tourism and merchandising company. And I'm just an artist like the most of us, and I've been following InkBlot since the Kickstarter, and I'm really excited about what Jay's trying to build for us here.
That's super awesome. Yeah.
And I am Nathan Ragland, the host of the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I was gracious enough to interview Jay a few months back. Wonderful interview. If you guys have not checked that out, I highly recommend it. I am a person that shows a lot of love and enthusiasm for art and artists in general. That's why I wanted to show InkBlot a lot of support, especially with this membership drive, which you guys should definitely be a part of today.
Hell yeah. We love to see it. Now, we got, so Nathan, so would you say being part of the art community, which like title would you claim, or maybe you're a mix of both? Like, so we have Rune Owl, who's an art director. I'm pretty sure is an artist. So that's without to say. But what would you play into the art community as an art lover, art supporter, or an artist or creative yourself? Where would you play?
I would consider myself more of an art enthusiast and an art lover, but I also do consider myself like a creative type because, the editing process and stuff like that goes into like a creative outlet, like, content creation or whatnot in general. Like that, but I consider myself an art enthusiast first and foremost.
Oh, okay, got you. So,
Totally valid.
Yeah, no, totally valid, and I think that what InkBlot's trying to do is all creators and not just artists. Even though this particular stream talk is about like the art community in general, I think that
Right.
the things that we're going to be talking about definitely affect everyone, and that doesn't leave you out. So I think
no, absolutely.
yeah, I just was curious, I guess. I was like, oh, enough interviewing me. Let's interview Nathan. This isn't an interview about anyone in particular, but I just wanted to get that clarified. That if you are a art supporter or just a creative enthusiast, definitely just tune in, stick around because there's folks in here that are also might not be able to put some pen to paper all the time, or maybe that's not their hobby or what they do, but I think that you're still a part of the community in that way, and that's definitely more important. And keeping up to date on everything that's going on in the community is also very important to do. So last but not least, I definitely want my staff to introduce themselves and how they play a part. So staff, just your name, obviously your name that you go by on the team here, and then obviously just pronouns and how do you play into the creative community? Whichever of you two want to go.
I'm Ren. I do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. My aim is to kind of bring the community together and to help however I can. I really don't have much to say that I haven't always, said before in past streams, but I'm on the spot here. I am not good at this.
All good, all good.
No matter how many times you have to do this, no.
It's okay. I think out of the two of us, I probably am one stream the most, so it's okay.
Yeah. I pop on like once every day. But yeah, I'm like, community comes first to me. That's kind of me in a nutshell. And I will shill for InkBlot till the day I'm grave.
All right, cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm Wolf. I just recently joined the community events team, and I'm really excited to be here. I go by she, her, and yeah, other than that, I do some freelance illustration.
Awesome. And I don't really think I gotta say anything. I'm Jay. I'm the janitor at InkBlot. I just clean up after Ren and Wolf. They love to leave peanut wrappers on the floor. Yeah, so.
The parties get lit, okay.
Yes, we at InkBlot HQ, we definitely have all the parties, which is basically making sure that everything runs right. So I think we have a working party.
I wouldn't call that a janitor. I'd call it more like a fire person more than anything else. Like, trying to make sure to contain all the fires that could potentially happen with this website.
Sometimes it feels like I only get like a 6-ounce glass of water and I gotta keep running back to the sink. Sometimes it feels like that. It really does.
We're not that bad. We're not that bad.
Says Ren. I'm joking. No, it's a pleasure and honestly an honor to work with everyone on the InkBlot team. It has made this journey and an experience of making a platform and a creative home for all creators around the world such a pleasure, especially night and day difference between just working by myself and having a whole team of people who are just as passionate. It's I'm always ranting and raving about y'all during the interviews. I'm like, you're gonna love them. I adore everyone on the team. So, but yeah, we have an agenda, and I don't want to, I don't think I'm gonna get anywhere with all this flattery for the team. So team, if you're listening, I love you. But we actually have an agenda, and I think the community assistant manager, Angel, actually wants us to do it because she actually made it. So let's do that. Page 62, section 5. I'm joking. I need to pull it up.
Is that the original handbook or the revised handbook?
That is the edition. That's edition 4.
Edition 4. I didn't get that one.
Oh man, it costs a little extra. Yeah, you might be able to rent it out on Amazon.
Do you think I could bump $8 a month from someone?
Oh man,
Only an ebook form.
Oh my goodness, but
Don't even let me get into it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my goodness, I can only imagine how it is right now because I never rented from Amazon back in college, but I could only tell.
I've done it once or twice and it sucked.
Oh boy, yeah. The horror stories that I heard from it, I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that in my life. But let's see. All right, so y'all have it pulled up before I do, I'm sure. So we were gonna go over first. Okay, then start us off, Ron.
The first thing you're talking about the bullet list, correct?
Yeah. The right one, the one that Angel made because, yeah, Angel's far more organized than me when I was like, hey, yeah, we're going to just talk about this, and that, and I didn't even give you anything else.
No, you got this. Our first bullet point is, what are your thoughts on creative sites embracing AI?
You want to go first on that?
Ooh, sure. Right off the bat, it seems very self-defeating, and we've already seen the places like DA and ArtStation be very quickly overrun with the AI generations in really only a matter of months. Mm-hmm. And all this has really served to do in the short term is chase away the artists that populated the site to begin with. And even some people are starting to wonder if the entire Redbubble situation is because they've been so inundated with AI generations that they needed a way to handle that.
Wow.
And they are, of course, pushing that off onto the artists that built their platform to begin with.
Yeah, and that's crazy because you would think that they would have a different process, right? Because Redbubble is as accessible as it is and easy it is to get set up on there. There's places like Imprint that still thrive but have like a very curated, I guess entrance process or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you have to get in through invite or by the legal process.
Right. Yeah.
It was hard to get in. It took like 3 weeks to get in.
So I mean, if that is true in the sense that they're trying to, eliminate AI gen, content or merch or accounts, then they're moving backwards, because just like, okay, well, you made this accessible for artists, this is basically something that we're able to pay for, and we'll be okay with the cut that's also being taken out of the sales that we make. But then now it's like you're making this when maybe instead of pushing us out, maybe you should actually do your job and use the money that you get, because I'm sure they make plenty of money to be able to have people. Yeah, they could definitely have a dedicated team to review and go over instead of making a subscription model. But
they could. But if we're being realistic, it's really about their bottom line and their stock prices. So it may not be related to AI at all. It's just something.
The problem is you're still punishing like small artists who don't make much. And like at the end of the day, I'm like, you're taking like a 20-30% cut out of what you already made, and now you're adding like another 10-50%.
Yeah, it defeats the whole purpose.
Right, and it doesn't account for what PayPal takes out or whatever your processing services, because you've got to pay their fees too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking home pennies at the end of the day.
Right.
It's not worth it on there if they're going to implement this.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that any of them that is embracing AI, even if Redbubble was trying to do that to eliminate AI accounts or AI content, I think that there's others that are just like blatantly just like, yeah, no, come on in, and I think we all know who we're talking about, the elephant in the room, mostly DeviantArt and ArtStation, and I think that's insane, right? But I'll let somebody else take the wheel on that. What are your thoughts on those that blatantly had months to examine the community's response to it, and yet just was like, hey, yeah, come on in, go ahead.
It proved that the users were not their priority at all.
Well, they never were.
Right.
Yeah.
They never were. Like, these sites have been going downhill for a decade at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the whole NFT thing, like, they didn't really acknowledge the issue. They were like, oh, okay. And then they don't do anything to help artists. And on DeviantArt, like with the whole NFT thing, like they have it was like an opt-out thing or like a protection thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to pay for that. So like it goes to show you where the priority was. Like that should not be a thing you have to pay for. That should be a default thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it should be automatically opt out for any of this extra crap that artists don't want. These are not artists anymore. These are AI and NFT shilling platforms. That's all they are.
Even the no image AI thing, they didn't have that by default, and they fought tooth and nail to say, well, we can't opt people out by default, and then they turn around and did it after a public backlash.
Well, yes, you can automatically opt people out. Like, if people really want to get into that kind of crap, more power
Well,
to them,
they did it.
Yeah, I'm
like
like,
your foot in their mouth.
But that's the thing. That's the difference between them and a platform like DeviantArt. Like, DeviantArt is owned by Wix. Wix does not care about the individual. They are only concerned about their revenue and pleasing their shareholders.
Wix only cares about their bottom line. That's why they bought
Yeah.
DeviantArt in the first
Yeah.
place.
Yep.
And it just tanked, and I'm so sad because I'm like, that was the first site I used.
Same. Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I have
was
a
like,
feeling Wix wasn't particularly pleased with this investment, as it's turned out.
yeah, I'm like, it came back to bite them, and bite them on the rear end.
Yeah.
Like it seems to me like when companies are implementing all this AI stuff, not just with the images, but just all the AI stuff in general, they're either being lazy, ignorant, or asinine about implementing this stuff in the first place. Like why like how much field research did you actually do on this stuff to see if people actually wanted this stuff, or was it just ooh, shiny new toy, let's implement it? Like what was more the case? Because like we've established already with some of the public backlash that DeviantArt has gotten and stuff like that, no one really likes it in those communities. So like, how much did you actually like field research it before you implement it, or was it just shiny new toy, let's see how the people love it?
Yeah.
So part of what I think is happening here, we're in what I think of as the post-Bitcoin world.
Yeah.
People saw what happened with Bitcoin, and they said to themselves, I will never miss out on that again. And so what we are seeing with new technologies like AI is that everybody wants to jump on and be in the first wave. No matter if the first wave is a tsunami that's, impending upon all of our jobs and careers or what have you. They want to be in the quote-unquote technological revolution, and so that's kind of all of these board meetings that are happening behind closed doors to make these kinds of decisions. That's what's driving it. It's not, it's very easy to call it kind of the shiny new toy, but people really do see this as a game changer in the economy, and we're already kind of seeing the repercussions of that. So I think it is interesting, or at least important, to kind of make sure that we're still taking it pretty seriously, because the executives definitely are.
So
people don't realize that, as silly as a lot of it may seem, like, oh, ugly AI art, blah 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 blah. Like, people are not understanding like the sheer impact this is having, not just on careers, but like the economy. But it's like people's health. I'm like, this is their livelihood. Like, you're taking this away because you want to make a fast buck.
Yeah.
Because most of these companies are already multi-billion-dollar companies. You do not need to stay on the ground.
So really quick, so what some folks were saying in the chat here on Twitch, we have one comment from Hika Tamika. Maybe stockholders wanted it, and
It's
then
very possible. Like, stockholders
Definitely.
heavily influence decisions of these companies. Because like when you get investors coming in, like these people, like you can no longer make decisions yourself. Like they are the ones really pushing their agendas on you, and if you want them to keep putting money into your site or your platform, you kind of have to adhere to what they want. So at the end of the day, it's not the complete fault of these platforms, but it's also on them to make the right decisions on who they should be having coming in as their investor.
I'm so sorry. Another
No,
comment
no,
from chat is Coastal Path says AI, quote unquote, is literally already replacing crypto as the next big buzzword in business / tech.
There's a ton of overlap.
It's all I ever hear.
Now, just throwing, I guess, just throwing out, putting a stone out into this room here. But this is not me saying this, but this is the argument that has been placed at our feet, right? Multiple times but isn't AI artists? Aren't they artists? Right? You're gatekeeping the community. You're making art inaccessible for people, right?
And who started that was the CEOs that make these models. They have a reason to say that. It benefits them to push that narrative.
It's at the end of the day, it's all about money. It's not about anything else.
And they fan the flames of all the harassment and shit too by saying crap like that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's all right. It's passionate topic, really. But yeah, no.
I think it's a new group of people who has suddenly kind of discovered that they like doing something that they feel is artistic, and they don't want these quote-unquote gatekeepers to kind of take that away from them. So it's really, it feels like a kind of futile struggle at this point in between what the artists call tech bros and then the real artists. It's becoming a little bit pedantic at this point.
It's not futile though.
No, but my
Yes.
understand wanting to see ease of, like, I guess, quote-unquote accessibility, but it's not art. I was talking to somebody, and I'm like, the difference between this quote-unquote AI art and, like, say something like photography, I'm like, you have human interference the whole way through. You have humans driving the process. You don't have that with this AI crap. I'm like, put a prompt in, the machine does the rest of the work.
And but I think that sorry to cut you off, but I think that it's the issue with AI generation is not the AI part. It's not. If we're going to be completely honest, it is not the artificial intelligence. In order for even this voice call to happen, in order for certain processes like searching on Google, searching anything, there's features in Clip Studio Paint that use AI. So it's not the AI that's the issue. It's the unethical means that they've made these generators with.
I've argued that about blockchain before. Somebody about blockchain, I'm like, you have no bank security. Like, you can't demonize something like that. I'm like, yes, there are bad people using it for bad things, but at the end of the day, it's not the tool that is the issue. It is the people behind it.
Yep. That's the main thing that I've always noticed when it comes to this AI stuff, because I eternally do not hate AI as a tool. That's the thing, that it's the people up top there thinking they could use this as a cost-cutting measure that is equal to, if not better than, just actually paying a human being to do the proper thing in the proper way with the proper salary and the proper hours to do this stuff. It's this unique concept called ethics that the higher ups do not comprehend.
Well, I think Jay brought up an interesting point too. If we're talking about AI generations, we really have to
Explicitly
bring up the root of it, which is the data sets. And I think that's been a really hot topic recently online.
So before we move on, before we move that onto that, I have some comments here in the chat. Coastal Path says again, what does AI even mean? Technology, quote unquote, is not the same as AI. AI needs to be defined if you're going to say it's not actually the issue. So, I mean, artificial intelligence that's technology as a whole, right? I mean, I think we can all agree.
Learning.
That's machine, yeah. So,
and we're talking about
go ahead.
Generative AI, not all
Right.
AI.
We're talking about AI gen. So AI generation, like the actual, when you take a machine, you train it on data sets, as we're about to get into, and go from there. So, I just want to make that explicitly clear that, there has always been AI, even before the AI generators came around, right? So artificial intelligence is nothing. AI intelligence, it's not new. It's the generators, and then as Rune Owl was saying, the data sets which they are trained on, and how there's no, I guess there's. Go ahead, Rune. I know you was gonna get into it. Yeah.
You can feel me leaning forward.
Yeah, I can feel you.
So just for clarification, what we're mostly talking about, because AI really has so many different applications, what we're specifically talking about is the stable diffusion model. And so that incorporates in like DeviantArt's generator, that incorporates Midjourney and DALL-E, and all of those art AI generation programs. And then kind of to another extent, their cousin program would be like Chat GB3. So that's definitely, like, just as a blanket statement, that's definitely what we're referring to with the AI discussion.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't know if you want me to add to that.
No, go on. You were talking about the data sets. I think you were going to touch on, why are the data sets the true, I guess, quote unquote, evil of these AI gens?
No, it definitely didn't start out as quote unquote evil. Like, the people at the very beginning of it. We have to make sure not to make them mustache-twirling villains, because
Right.
that does straw man some of the arguments.
Right.
But they were able to get this broad of a data set, and we're talking about now the Lyron 5 set,
Mm-hmm.
which was generated, I think it was a German company,
Mm-hmm.
and it's under a non-profit umbrella, so that's how they were able to scrape the entire web.
So for
on
those that
such a massive scale.
So for those that don't really understand, what do you mean? Like why do you bring out the point of it being a non-profit umbrella? Why? What's
So
up with
this
that?
was kind of the loophole that they used in order to get primarily like copyrighted and sensitive photos and information, so that they could do a blanket sweep of the internet without really having to worry about a lot of the legalities of doing that, was because it was under a non-profit training, like educational kind of thing, just to test the technology. And so what the for-profit companies are doing is they're using that to make millions currently. So that's kind of the disconnect between the non-profit scraping and then its current for-profit use, is a really big chasm that our current legal system just hasn't caught up with, and is something that really will need to be addressed
And
sooner rather than later.
right, and we can only hope for it to be soon. And but what's the timeline? Do you folks think that something can be done legally?
These things take time. We really can't expect these things to be addressed within the next, I would expect 3 to 5 years is when we're going to start seeing laws go onto the books.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that they have money behind them, so there's going to be a lobbying effort coming from the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I know artists are, it's been inspiring to see artists rallying around
Mm-hmm.
trying to defend their own work. So we'll kind of see how that plays out in the court system in the next few years.
Yeah.
It should be noted too that Stability AI helped fund Lion to gather all of that data.
Oof.
Yes.
Oof.
So that adds another little bit of a technicality in there.
And Wolf, can you let us know who is Lion 5? Is that somebody? Is that a company? You still
Me?
there? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Wolf. Yeah.
Oh, Lion?
Yeah. Who
Lion
is Lion?
The Lion is the non-profit, quote unquote, but Stability AI helped fund that project to collecting all of that data for the 5B dataset and all that.
Oof. Yikes. So
As far
that's a
as I
little
know,
messy.
they might actually own it.
Yeah.
At this
That's
point.
that's very messy.
For anyone
so
that doesn't, yeah.
that's,
For anyone that doesn't know, Stability AI is one of the companies behind Stable Diffusion, and they have made profit off of those products that they have made using those datasets.
and originally those data sets are owned by a nonprofit, and if they made the nonprofit, then that means that they're collecting from their own. Ooh, that's messy.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Zax is completely correct. We need to close that legal loophole.
Yeah. So this brings me into our next point, actually. So there's a method to my madness at asking this. So you mentioned that anything that legal-wise we're probably expecting in a couple of years, and really this has just sprouted up in like the last year. I don't think it's even lapsed for a year in terms of the AI gen. And I'll be honest, I did see, there was a time where I did see a lot of folks using like the early stages of DALL-E when it went public and just kind of memeing about, right? It was a lot of people that were doing that. Now here we are catching up to a year, and we all pretty much hate it. but I'm an artist, and just like many others, I don't think I can wait 3 to 5 years for something to actually protect my work, right? So what is what
People should be active now.
right? And my next question, I guess the next question on agenda is, what can we do against AI image generation / generators? What can we do about that?
Glaze.
Go ahead.
The lead into Glaze.
This is a lead into Glaze, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are on Glaze, who is pretty new, but who's running the show? Who's Glaze? And we have quite a few people listening and viewing the stream here, so I definitely want to take a moment to, before we answer the question with our knowledge of what we can do against, the scraping and stuff. Who is Glaze? Go ahead. Anybody can take a help with that.
Wolf, you take this one.
So Glaze is a project that was developed by the University of Chicago. Ben Zhao and Sean Shan were the lead programmers on that, and their team. It is a cloaking program that can protect your art by mathematically applying noise, and it makes it harder for AI to train on your work because it has a difficult time reading it. It looks like something else to the AI. Like a Picasso instead of your style.
Okay. All right. So that's and so where can we get this? Is this an app? Is this where
Yeah,
are we
it's a
doing?
program you can download from the Glazed website. I can look that up right now.
And I
Unless
think
you have it pulled up,
I
Jay.
think
It's been
someone brought it.
posted.
Yeah, someone brought it up here in the chat, so I'm just gonna
There we go.
pin
Not
that.
available on Mac that I'm seeing, however, so bear that in mind.
What's it not available on?
Glaze, April 6th Glaze GPU version for Windows is not available. I'm not seeing anything for Mac systems. So if you're on a Mac,
So it actually runs better on Mac. The GPU version was an update because it was having difficulties on Windows. It wanted to run on the CPU, and they were trying to get it to run on the GPU because it runs better. It still has some issues with Windows. It does not run well on mine, for example. But if you have a higher performing Windows system, you should be good. They're also working on a web version so that people with lower running systems can eventually be able to use Glaze.
my laptop's
We love it. We love to hear it. Okay, so
I'm-
go ahead, Nathan.
I was saying, I'm gonna be honest. This is my first time even hearing about Glaze in the first place, and it sounds like this is
Oh, it's
this should be
amazing.
something that this is something that should be widely advertised a lot more, because again, this is me first hearing about it, and especially with all the different websites implementing some sort of hidden loophole way of hey, taking all their data and putting it into AI or something like that. This feels like this should be essential, especially for artists, to know about this resource.
Yeah, and let me go back to the chat here. So we have one person saying here, let's see. I'm sorry, there's a little thing in the way, but we have one person saying here, Zach's Reaper, it should be illegal to use this loophole. Yep, that was what we were talking about. And then Hika Tamika also made another comment that says, I wish I could use Glaze, but since my style is flat/cell shaded, it doesn't work as well. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, so Glaze, the way that it mathematically applies the glaze, it looks for areas to hide to distort the pixels, I guess, to hide the noise. And when there's not a lot of areas for the pixels to hide, it's very visible. It is noticeable on your artwork. There are different levels you can apply it from low, medium to high, and that increases how much protection you have on your work, but it also is more visible on your work, and it shows up more on flat images that don't have a lot of texture, like say the blue sky with no clouds, for example, or cell shaded art.
Okay. Yeah. So someone also mentions, Zach Reaper also says, have you considered working with other developers, namely Glaze, to help protect the site better? So I think there's a thread floating around somewhere on Twitter, but it is far too costly and far too of a risk for if our systems to have failed on applying Glaze, it would be us at fault. So as a small company and as someone that does not think that asking a user to glaze their own art is going to be an astronomical ask, I think that it is everyone's best interest to glaze their own work rather than put a middleman in between doing so. I think that there is just, of course, we have our monitoring systems on everything in trying to ensure that all systems are working properly. But if we were to ever fail in glazing someone's work, it is our fault. And I would hate to be the one to tell them, hey, yeah, your art's not protected because our system failed. So I think that at this point, with how everything is going, and the importance of protecting your own work, you are responsible for doing so. And unfortunately, I just don't think that that's possible right now, especially with Glaze being still new, and then our platform still being new on InkBlot. I just don't think that Glaze, clearly we just talked about how it was taking up CPU. Imagine that with InkBlot on top of it taking up CPU. Like, we already have our own CPU issues. There is just no, I just do not recommend any website that wants to take on that responsibility. I don't recommend it, even if I wasn't running my own company. So I think that is just your work should be important as to you as your social security number is. I really do think that. So if you are head over heels about protecting it, I think that you will do everything in your power to do so. And instead of giving someone else that responsibility, that needs to be yours and yours only. I have.
As much as I love InkBlot, I have to agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree because there's no guarantee after you glazed your artwork if you did it successfully, if you're doing it through a third party, and then that would leave your work vulnerable and you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, and neither would we. Like, how are we supposed to track that?
Yeah.
Because we don't have something to know if something's been glazed.
Yeah.
So absolutely not.
I would just wait for the team to develop their own online service for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And by the team, I mean the Glaze team.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. So, great question. I've had people ask me before in involving Glaze and stuff like that. I've seen other, other folks chime in about not doing this, and I completely agree with them. Good luck to whatever site decides to take that on, but I highly suggest not. And that's I think that's me saying that for the best interest of everyone, for the artists and for the developers of that site. But InkBlot will not be doing that because I just truly believe that that's a responsibility that you need to take. That's like that's like giving your parents their social security number card, and being like, when their house gets robbed, it's just like, why did you let your house get robbed? Like, I just think that, maybe you should have kept on tight to that social security card. So, but anyway, that's just my thoughts, and that's why we won't be doing that. And obviously I can go ahead and put that in developer notes, since it's the question that I get asked quite often. So I'm seeing some comments in the chat for the Discord. I'm sorry, folks. I forgot. I think.
I didn't see that either. Whoops.
If you can, Wolf or Ren, if you're able to read some of those, definitely, because my computer is like one click at a time right now.
With what Harper said, you're also trusted. They said, I would emphasize that using Glaze locally on your own computer, not connected to the internet, is safest, because then you're not unwittingly sending it through a potentially untrustworthy server. So yeah, I trust InkBlot, but you're also, depending on whoever might try to do this, you may be sending your artwork to a party that may or may not save it somewhere for a while before they delete it or whatever, and that could potentially lead it to being scraped.
Yes.
Before it got glazed.
Yeah, it's a shame. I can't use Glaze right now because I don't have the right system.
So someone says here in the chat here, there is a risk of advertising a lot. AI bros find and try and break it. I think
that's with anything.
Yeah, I think that's with anything. I think that even when people toot their own horn about being the most encrypted chat messaging service here in the world, I think that people tend to try to make that a challenge, and I think that's going to be nothing new. I feel like one of those impossible movies where they're like, this bank has never been robbed from. It's like, okay, the whole movie's about them robbing the bank. I'm like, they're gonna consider it a challenge, and I think that the developers have the duty of making sure that they always are one step ahead, and In order for them to be able to do that, we need to support them. We need to show them the support that this is necessary. And we need to make sure that they still passionate about a project that is necessary to us. And in order for us to do that, or to show them that we love what they're doing and we fully support it, we need to make sure that they can hear that. And, I encourage you to use Glaze, but I also encourage you to show your support to the developers, especially as someone that has been creating a site for 3 years, even when it was very, very small and looked very, very unpolished, even though it's still unpolished right now. It's very hard to keep going. If there's more negative comments than there is positive, what's the point? Your mental will go down the drain. You're not going to really even care. I think that, obviously I don't get paid for this. Everyone on the team, excluding the volunteers, gets paid to do their job. Even the developer, the support team, some folks on the mod team, they get paid. And I think that it's very important that, for those that are volunteering, such as myself and our volunteers, it's just important to have something like, what is going to keep me coming back every day? And I know that I'm not going to get paid for this, but what is that? Besides just my passion, So it's like same thing with the developers for Glaze. I don't think they're getting paid, but I'm pretty sure that, if they are in some way, but a lot of the time, money doesn't really matter, because it's just like, if you think you start losing your passion for the project you're working on, and maybe you're getting paid for it, who knows? It's just like, what's the point? There's a lot of people that, they love what they do, and they don't get paid, and then there's people that are doing what they love and they get paid and they still hate it. So I think that there's just needs to be a lot of support. If you can't do it monetary, then just definitely, at the team, go on their tweets or go on their posts when they say, hey, new update, just be like, yo, thank you so much. Like, I don't know how many times that I have to, I'm pretty sure they do. Because even making InkBlot over the last few years, I live for the people that are like on this tweet and just saying like, thank you so much for doing this. I'm like, that makes my day. That I am like elated. I'm like, wow, it's just one person, but it's like, wow, I'm making a difference, So, again, if you can't support monetary, definitely show them some love. Definitely use them. Send a bug report. I swear, it might seem annoying. You might think that you're being annoying. Send a bug report. That is support. That is support 100%. I think
especially with Windows systems, they need help getting this GPU and CPU thing figured out.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. So we had another person say here, I did some tests last weekend with the GPU version of Glaze, and it worked pretty good. But it's still alpha, so there's some kinks to work out. And that's very true. And curiously, Kevin, definitely send them any bug reports or anything or any suggestions or what have you, and show them that support, because you know what? They want somebody that's just as passionate about this project as they are. And there's just, I'm telling you, there's just no fuel better than having somebody else running right alongside you in what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But
tech with tech too. That's great to have them on our side.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Admiral from the chat said that they're not a fan of the weird effect Glaze puts on images. They've just been putting big watermarks on their art lately, and I just want to say that's totally fine.
I think that's
like, you don't have to. Don't feel like if you can't or aren't able to use Glaze right now, that like you're missing out and like you're earmarked for the AI blender. It'll be okay. Don't stress about it too much. Just do what you can.
Regardless, what they're doing is wrong. Whether or not you're using Glaze, not using Glaze is not permission.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Watermarks are great too.
Yeah.
There are AI watermark removers, and there are ways to apply your watermark that makes it harder for them to remove if you can't use Glaze. That's what I'm currently doing with my artwork. If you go to on Twitter at @ArtMagnifico, they have a post where they show you how to do it, and they basically just add a gradient on the watermark and they blur it, and that makes it more difficult for the program to pick up the watermark to remove it from your image.
And I know we were sitting here, and this is definitely not a paid ad for Glaze. It's just we're all just folks that are just very very passionate about protecting our work and others protecting it. But I just wanted to say that there's other ways, and that's what this topic was about. What are ways that we can protect our work from AI generators? And Glaze is definitely one that we would highly recommend. It is still in alpha. It is definitely still being developed. Again, the AI generator stuff literally just came out less than a year ago. So we have to take time, unfortunately. And so for those listening and for those here, just know that there's no one way to do this. There's no one way to protect your work from
Exactly.
AI gen. And
there's going to be more adversarial programs coming out after this, I'm sure.
There is another project that I saw that's called Art Shield, and they are working, I think, not something similar, but I think they're also doing an effort with Shopify images and trying to get Shopify images taken out of the data set. I only briefly took a look at that, but I think that's another effort that's being made, and definitely show them some love, especially those that have like an Etsy or have like a Shopify and things like that. They're trying to do Shopify links, the Etsy links, all of those kind of small e-commerce platform links that have like a shop listing and have an image. They're trying to get that off the data set, and it seems to be working so far for them. So I definitely check that out if you have a small shop and are trying to figure out how does your work come into play and things like that. Now I did want to point out Zach Reep's comment was more talking about working together to find new ways to further develop and improve this technology. I definitely want to reach out to Glaze. I think that they're getting a lot of attention and kind of overwhelmed. I also think that I have a lot of things on my plate with InkBlot before I start working with other companies with development stuff. Right now I have Postybird on hold right now since September because I'm trying to make sure that our infrastructure is straight to the nines. T's, I's dotted, you know what I mean? So I definitely want to work with Glaze. That is something that I've had on my agenda, but I have to settle the company, the moderation, the everything. The everything, the community events. Even this stream had some work put into it, had some thought put into it, right? So I have a lot on my plate, but I am more than happy to reach out to the Glaze team once we have our stuff straight, and then also that also has to depend on if they are ready for such a thing. And I would like to hope, and I would like to. I would be more than happy to work with them and to create something going on. Whether that is us just, really putting them on the board and advertising, because I think Nathan just said earlier, you'd never even heard of Glaze, right?
Yeah.
No, this is my first time even hearing of it, and especially hearing the fact that it's still very early in its infancy at this point, really trying to make leaps and bounds to try to catch up with the AI and all this stuff like that. Like that's something that we definitely got to keep in mind. With Glaze and stuff like that is we're basically at the precipice of the beginning of companies like this basically. I'm not saying going against each other, but trying to make sure that what's the best way I word this, that protection like this is on the same level that AI is progressing as well. So it's gonna take a lot of bumps in the road. They got take care of a lot of the issues and stuff like that, but it's not so they obviously have a lot of love and passion to making sure that that artists are protected first and foremost. So it's one of those more than anything else, we have to be patient, and because they're trying to work at the same speed that several people are trying to implement all these AI things that are trying to basically take over art. Miracles like this is not going to happen overnight.
No, I agree.
It's a battleground.
Yeah, and I also want to point out these companies that are making these AI generators are getting paid billions of dollars. And then you have groups like Glaze who are just either they're on a grant funded project. I don't know what the finances is for Glaze, but either they're grant funded, which means that they only have a certain amount of money, or they have volunteers. And then you have places like us who are a site that's against AI, trying to make sure that we're spearheading and along with others that are trying to go against the AI generators. and fight for artists and creatives' rights, against, protect, or, not against, but, protecting their work. And we're like, we're not getting billions of dollars here. So we're really working at a disadvantage because these CEOs or these venture capital people have just proclaimed that AI generated images are just like the next big thing. So let's just dump all the money right into there. You know what I mean? So like
Move fast and break things.
Right, exactly. So we're at a severe disadvantage, but I was talking to the folks in here earlier, and the power of community is so so powerful. We have to come together. This is going to divert just a little bit, but I don't care if you're a traditional artist, that you have nothing to do with digital art. And I don't care if you're a digital artist and you have nothing to do with traditional art. Just support each other. There's just absolutely no need to put ourselves against each other. We're so much more powerful
writers
together.
and musicians too now.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And so now we have ChatGPT that's writing all of these things. And I saw like and you guys are gonna get a kick out of this one. I saw a TikTok that was like, oh, I can write all the fan fiction I want with ChatGPT. Like, wow, that's insane right there. And so now we have
on fan fiction.
Yeah, but it's like that just goes to show that now they're scraping sites that have written stories or written creative works, you know what I mean? So it's just like, and now you have the voice art actors who are also being, put against with the AI generated voices. So it's like, we really need to come together. We can't put each other out. We can't just be like, just because it's not happening to me doesn't mean that it's not impacting somebody else. And
that actually plays. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I guess I'll go. No, it's one of those, like, I'm seeing all this stuff, and obviously, like, more or less, like, the outsider, more or less, when it comes to art and stuff like that. And one sense or another, this is the kind of stuff that's scaring me, more or less. Because, like, I went to school for filmmaking, all right? Like, I've made films, I've written stuff like that. And, like, seeing the fact that, people are using, like, the voice acting bots to make, while some videos, I'll admit, are hilarious. Like, if you ever seen the stupid videos of, like, the presidents playing video games and like that, like those are hilarious or whatnot, but the fact that that's now like considered content, like, and after a while, like, it's really starting to like really try the treads of the tire, more or less, like that is considered more or less the future of entertainment or whatnot. The fact that especially, I don't know if you guys realize this, but we have a very looming writer's strike coming along very, very soon. And what some people are saying as a solution of it is using these chat bots or whatnot to replace the writers, which is a horrible idea in the first place. And like, I just heard this TikTok idea that you were talking about. I could write all the fanfics impossible. Look, I don't write that often, but when I write, part of the enjoyment is getting my ideas out of my head and onto that paper. You're not writing fanfic, you're just generating bullshit at the end of the day. That like, there is no fun and enjoyment when you're using that kind of stuff. And the fact that these, again, higher ups are planning on using this stuff to replace legitimate people, giving people out of legitimate careers, and basically putting them on the street, because what else can they possibly do, especially in today's job economy, to where sometimes it's hard to even get just the bare minimum job or whatnot. Instead, you're gonna chase them out of the career that they have dedicated years, time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears just to get to that point, to try to succeed and try to put their vision out there first and foremost, just because you want to save a couple of bucks on some shitty robot that kind of has a general idea on how entertainment has been done in the past 30 years. It's bullshit. It's scary. It's scary that that's the solution. Instead of going to the proper people and hey, you have good original ideas. You have stuff that people are genuinely interested in. Let's invest in you, not the shitty AI.
Right. Preach.
Oh my god.
Yep. Go off. Honestly, no, we got some.
Like, I could go off on this stuff.
I mean, I'm glad that you're here to say your piece, because honestly, it's scary for all of us. And I know, this was more of an art-oriented thing, but like, it's affecting so many people. And
it's affecting. I mean, obviously, when it comes to the art thing, like, again, like, like going back to like the writing thing, like, if they're writing the shows, well, what's going to stop them from getting the bots, once they learn good enough, to just animate the shows and like make it somehow worse than all the shitty Flash animated shows that people complain about all the time in one way or another. Like,
that's already happened. Netflix Japan had an animated animated short called Dog and Boy, and there was an artist that worked to direct the AI to generate backgrounds, and I guess they like touched it up some too. And the artist that did that was only credited as human
Yes.
in that film.
Yeah. Which is
That's disrespectful.
Yeah, it is disrespectful and stuff like that.
Not
And
even
like,
named.
That's
and
crazy.
like that's the thing. Like more than anything, it's the fact that you had to emphasize right there that the artists, all they did was like they did the backgrounds, but they touched it up a little bit. That still proves like how shoddy the AI is. The fact that the person still has to go behind them and make sure that it looks picturesque instead of, I don't know, paying someone to make it look the way they wanted to in the first place. It's this weird novel idea these days for some reason. I don't fucking get it.
Right.
And that was
That's
probably
They
formerly
saved a lot of money.
Yeah, that was probably formerly the background artist who got a demotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this is going down.
Yeah, I just don't. I just think that despite this all happening, they're going to. These companies are definitely going to get what they got coming to them, because there's just no way that you can do this, and get away with it. I strongly believe in karma, and I think that they're definitely going to get what's coming to them if they want to act like that and believe that. People that are passionate and creative like us is just gonna accept this and just lie down and take it, and it's just like, no thanks, we're not doing that. Yeah. It's just like people don't. I was in an interview yesterday, and I was telling them, I was like, people don't understand how meaningful creative works are. Things like art and writing, they don't understand how meaningful that is. When you say, when we're talking about like, even just children, reading them bedtime stories, like who makes those books? Like, you know what I mean? And so like there was a person that tried to make a children's book with AI, and it was atrocious. Oh. It was absolutely atrocious. It was like, no kid's gonna even read that, because they're gonna understand like, this is not what I'm looking for.
They do have taste.
Yeah, and they do have taste. That's very, very, very true. And it's just like, we just always think about like, all of the stories and the things that we know.
Culture.
Yeah, culture. And then on top of that, the stories and myths and legends that we know today have always been spun and made by a human. It's just absolutely like, there's movies and you can talk about them and you can be, and then when you watch like the documentary or you watch the interview of the writer that made the story of the movie, they're always going to mention what inspired them, and that's going to be something that a human made. That there is just nothing that you can do. And even though that movie is not made by, doesn't have anything to do, or maybe it won't be directly tied to that myth or legend that writer was inspired from, it was made from that, by that whole human process of being inspired by another. And so it's just not gonna work. I don't believe that, we're ever gonna have a point where there's going to be every single thing that we see is going to be made by an AI generated, machine or something like that. And, I wanted to bring up, go back to the chat here, because I know I'm still bad about looking at the chat. Zach's,
I would love to address Zach's Reaper's
Yeah.
question.
Go ahead.
Does InkBlot have some system to prevent scraping on your site out of curiosity? And this is actually a really big misconception that I see because of places like DeviantArt publishing their no AI tags.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way to prevent scraping on a website. Point
Very
blank.
few models respect that.
Yeah. So
I would be surprised if any models respected that. If there are some that do, I'd be.
I want to know.
Stable Diffusion does.
And how are we supposed to believe that? Like, they started off on the wrong foot, and how are we supposed to believe that they even got off that foot? You know what I mean? And to answer your question directly, Zax, we do have what's called and known as a robots.txt file, right? And then on top of that, most of InkBlot, if not all parts except for visiting profiles and the homepage, needs to be logged in. You have to log in to be able to even look at everything and get access to all of the files and see it without having to, we're kind of like Pinterest right now, where it's like, okay, you're going to browse a little bit, and then it's like, bam, you need to log in. What's wrong with you? So that's where we're at with that. And then obviously we have the robots.txt file, which is basically, it is, I want to say, less than 20 characters, okay, less than 20 letters on a text file that tells the bots, hey, please don't scrape here. And that's it. That is all that file does. And I will tell you right now, if you go on Cloudflare, which is the #1 in the cybersecurity industry, they literally have an article on there. And they will say that, yes, this does prevent some bots, but the malicious ones will ignore it. So if we are talking about about AI generators and the bots and companies that are being funded billions of dollars to scrape the internet, if we think for 1 second that they aren't malicious, then I need you to go. I need you to stop listening right now. I need you to go and look up how many people have been affected by this, because I need you to understand that they are not good. And the bots that they're using to scrape the internet is malicious. And if you think that less than a 20 character .txt file is going to stop them, you're thinking wrong. Just so if anyone tells you, oh, this has a robots.txt file, this is safe. Nope.
No.
I need you to stop putting so much weight on that .txt file. I need you folks to understand that is a toothpick underneath a bowling ball. It does nothing. It does nothing. Okay, so yes, most of the bots that are like, trying to scrape for emails and things like that, people that are trying to like scrape for just like, to have like a scam caller, talk about your warranty thing, trying to scrape for like a phone number. Yeah, most of those bots, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to go here. But the generative, like the AI gen bots, they don't care. They're malicious. And Cloudflare cybersecurity #1 in the industry says that. And I just need folks to understand that we're doing our best, no matter what, to make sure that you're protected. We are upgrading, and we now have the support. And I also did a couple of applications for towards some programs that help with startups like us. And I finally can get a program that will go ahead and does like a recapture or like a, hey, are you human kind of thing, and check every few minutes through Cloudflare. And they'll be able to process and understand that, if there is a bot that's kind of just scraping for a couple of minutes, it'll check and flag it and basically ask for it for human input. So I was able to do that. I am doing the best that I can to make sure that InkBlot is protected. But I just need you to understand that there is no regulations and laws put in place, and these people are so malicious, and they got billions of dollars, and we're doing the best that we can. Absolutely.
There's only so much that InkBlot can do, right?
Yeah, and there's only but so much that the other sites can do, and so just the best thing that you could do is just support them, use the tools, and but besides Glaze, just don't upload your art in 4K. There is absolutely no reason that you should be uploading your art on a social media platform anywhere. I don't even care if it's InkBlot. I don't care if it's Twitter. I don't care if it's Instagram. Do not upload a 4K image of your art. Don't do it. Yeah. Don't do that. Stop. Yeah.
Don't do that either.
Don't do that. So, but yeah, there's a lot of weight in what people say that, this less than 20 character thing is going to protect you. No, we're doing the best that we can, but there is no solution to this right now. And that's why we need to talk about other ways to protect our art and our works and things like that. And Zax Reaper, I know you mentioned earlier, was seriously impressed with you guys keeping your word to ensure no AI art is on your platform. I'm really glad you guys are keeping to your morals and working hard on... this chat is so finicky. I'm so sorry. Working hard on making the site as best as it can be. Thank you so much. Yeah, I am very. I know. I don't know if any of you are from Twitter, but you kind of saw me slam dunk on an AI tech bro that came into our midst, and the moderation team. Literally, we had the support team. it was all quiet in HQ, and we were just all just chilling that morning. I was talking to the community events team about something, and then the support team alerted. They're like, "What the F is this?" And they posted the screenshot of the person, and I was like, "Oh hell no!" And so I was like, "Okay, go to the mod team," which is just a different channel. Go to the mod team and get them banned. And I said, "Give me the IP address and give me the email so I can go ban them. But have mod team send an email that they're banned." So the support person named Luca ran over to the mod team and was like, "Hey, we got this, and that, and they're trying to let AR in." And then the community events manager was like, "Yeah, no, they were in the Discord trying to get it." And the Discord mods was like, "Okay, well, you need to delete this and you can't do that here." And they were just like, they told us, they were like, they told the Discord mods, "I'm not going to change anything, so you can go ahead and kick me." And so that's what they said. And so mod team was like, "Oh hell no!" So we went ahead and just went over there, kicked them. I went ahead, blocked the account, disabled the email from ever making another account. Support team went ahead and cited our no AI art stance or clause, and we took care of that right quick. And I just jumped on Twitter because I was like, I don't know where they came from, I don't know who sent them. But I need them to not. I need them to take that crap away from us and just.
Everyone took that so serious.
Yeah, and will you guess they're like still begging us to let them back on. They're like,
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, they will not be quiet about it. We're just
It's
like.
so weird how a lot of AI bros will literally harass a community and then be like, "Why won't you accept me as one of you?"
It's
You
like.
guys are not an artist or creative, you're a thief.
They literally harass you too, and it's like, do you not see what you're doing?
I love to think that the mental image of this whole entire situation is like, what you gonna do? Ban me? Okay, ban. Why did you ban me? I'm not part of this community.
Yeah, it was like, what? Yeah, I just cannot believe that, we have a couple of guidelines, right? We have a couple of things that we're asking you not to do here. There is billions and billions and billions of corners of the internet, and we're asking you not to do this here. And so it's just like when someone just.
Literally anywhere else they could go.
Yeah, go
Literally
anywhere else.
Everywhere else.
Yeah. So we're just asking them not to do it
Because
here.
everyone else is already cornered the market on all those other sites or whatever. This is fresh meat for
Go to
them.
ArtStation. Go
boy.
to Twitter. Go
Deviant
anywhere.
Art will welcome you with
Open arms.
Open
arms.
arms with 20 fingers on each hand.
Oh, stop!
Enough of that now.
Yeah. I see. Curiously, Kevin. Yeah, I was just thinking of that post. Sorry, I work for artists at Hiveworks, and I've been doing a lot of research on this. Kevin, if I know you, hi. I think I know you. I think I know that you're maybe that Kevin that I've been talking to. Hello. Definitely. I'm just trying to catch up on the chat here. I know I missed a couple of questions and a couple of comments, but I think we're running out of time here soon. And again, I have to do a D&D session, so I'll stay on Twitch here with only like a 30-minute break. For those of you that are interested in seeing a D&D session with our drive team for our membership drive, if you're new to the membership drive or to the idea of InkBlot, definitely check it out. Fundraiser.inkblot.org. We are trying to garner new memberships to support InkBlot, to keep it going. If you love what we do here, definitely check it out. If you can't make a subscription, then go ahead and buy us a butterfly, because yes, we definitely need more butterflies for us to keep moving forward in this lovely team that we have. And just making just a corner of the internet that supports artists and the human part of it. So I think we have something here on the list, but folks, I'm going to make sure that we take like a 5-minute break here because we've been talking for a little bit, and we'll be back soon to jump into the last two questions that we have here. I think we kind of covered a lot of it. But I really want to get to the social media part of this, because being a modern day creator in this climate, I think we kind of need to, besides just the AI stuff, let's talk about the other Yeah, let's talk about the other stuff that's been going on, right? So, viewers, folks here chatting with me, let's meet back up in 5 minutes or so, and we'll get back into the meat of it. All right. So,
Sounds like a plan.
alrighty then. See you guys soon. Cool. All right. So, folks, welcome back. And for those of you that are tuning in from Twitch, we just took a quick break. So basically, our next topic here is the social media. So being a creative with social media, how do the things tie in? What do you experience? And I'll start with Nathan this time. As a creator, how does social media play a part in what you do and your everyday and how it works hand in hand with what you're trying to do?
Well, to put it bluntly, without social media, I wouldn't have my platform in the first place. Social media is how I've been able to get the word around about the podcast, thanks so graciously to my guests, also spreading the words through their social media platform. Social media has done a great job, really, like, connecting everyone as, like, a community and really building up a community in one aspect for another. So without social media in one aspect for another, I wouldn't be here, more or less. I wouldn't have this small but stable platform I've got growing right now.
Yeah. So your podcast. So tell us a little bit more about that.
My podcast is a weekly podcast where I bring on artists of all forms of art in one aspect for another. I have them talk about what got them interested in art, what the projects that they've worked on, their proudest moments, what they hope to do, etc., etc. I try to more or less like shine as much of a spotlight onto several different artists of all different aspects as much as I can. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's of all different walks of life. I mean, I've had animators, digital artists, musicians. I've even had like a wrestler or two hop on the podcast, if you consider like wrestling WWE style, like that a art form. That's something that that's something that I've always considered that. And like I always try to have like a good diversity of people. I mean, obviously yourself included, Jay, which again, wonderful interview. Yeah. I did greatly love our chat that we have. But I try to give as much of a platform to the people, like for what little bit I can. I mean, it's something that I certainly take a lot of pride in more than anything else.
Heck yeah. I love the idea of the podcast, and I also loved being on the podcast for that one episode because I was like, wow, you are a great host, and I really was very comfortable. It was definitely my first, type of interview like that, and I was very comfortable with it, and I still tune in even after our interviews, and I
greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I got you on Spotify, and that's where I listen. And I know it's on YouTube, so sometimes I'll throw it up on YouTube when I'm doing some work and just want to try to focus, but also listen to something in the meantime. But you did mention that. You're very dependent on social media in trying to get the word out about your platform. So I guess my question to you would be, if there was no social media, how would you still get the word out?
Well, I mean, that is a very good question, because I mean, social media, at least these days, is more like the modern day version of like a posted board more than anything else. Like I like, if you think back to what we had before social media, that would be the best way for me to get the word out there. But also in a way, social media kind of more or less is how I'm able to have a podcast in the first place, because without that social media, I wouldn't be able to find a way to get connected with people and figure out how to run a podcast, how other people's podcasts are run, and how I want to do that in return or whatnot. Like there's so many different aspects of social media that without it, the podcast probably wouldn't even exist in the first place. Again, like going back to your original question, it'd probably be what it was before, buying like maybe ad space in newspapers and like that, putting flyers up in, only my local, area. And even then, that's only my local area. So, I mean, who knows, like, if I even get a single listener out of that, because, the way that, some people will acknowledge flyers and some people don't or whatnot. Like, social media has done a great job amplifying people's voices in order to get what they want out there.
Mhm.
Now, whether or not that's a good thing is a whole different discussion, but
Yeah.
it done a great job amplifying that.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So I'm gonna also ask you, Rune. So what you mentioned that you're an illustrator, an artist. So go ahead and let us know. How does social media play in your day to day?
See, that's really interesting because I'm kind of on the very opposite end of the spectrum as postmod. I do not interact with social media much, and I want to encourage any younger artists that you do not have to have a following on social media to get a job. It does not. They're not looking at your metrics. They're not looking at your followers. It's really your portfolio that matters. And a lot of artists are quietly offline working on these masterpiece portfolios that you might not even see because they're not, putting hot takes on Twitter, basically.
And
So
so Rune, so tell us, like, how has that been going for you? How has so not really being dependent on social media, how has that gone for you? You mentioned that you're an art director. Like, what the snackles? Like, how did that happen? You don't have 20K followers. What are you talking about? How are you an art director? How long have you been in the game, basically? And what have you been doing to kind of make your connections and network and stuff without social media in play?
of course, well, that is another thing. Networking doesn't necessarily happen on social media. A lot of networking that's happening with artists, art directors, art companies, that's not necessarily offline, but off of the public sphere. So the kinds of relationships that you build with, say, clients, and being able to use them as professional references, like I worked for X person or X company, and here's their info if you want to ask if I delivered on time, if I was responsive, things like that that really don't play into your visible metrics on social medias. I don't know if that makes sense the way that I've explained it.
No, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. No.
Networking isn't necessarily, Disney follows me on Twitter. It's kind of like I worked for this one director at some point and I did good work and I delivered appropriate content, and kind of just building respect in the professional sense and networking within your genre of art and just kind of building up from there. It's really about building up professionally and not burning any bridges. I guess I've been working professionally since, oh my gosh, how long has it been? I've been in the art world for a while, and I did start out on social media, just as a freelancer taking commissions, but I kind of stepped offline to build my professional portfolio and kind of ladder climb in the corporate sense. And that's worked out for me. But at the same time, I can't knock somebody wanting to build an audience. For people like Postmod, that's really important to their private projects. Like if you want to launch a Kickstarter, launch private merchandising, that can really boost your sales directly. And I completely understand that. I just want to let the people, especially younger people, know that that's not the end all be all, and you don't have to put all your eggs in that basket.
Well, I mean, so sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, Rune, like for you and me or whatnot, like it's completely understandable. Like for you, obviously, like there's a difference between social and professional. Sometimes it can be like depending on what the job is or whatnot. But especially like for you, like you're focused on the professional aspect. Like for what I'm trying to do, like I have to get like a social gathering, a social audience in order for some sort of professional thing to come afterwards. But for you, like you're not reliant on the interaction that you get on a platform. You're reliant on having a task that needs to be done, and whether you are brought on to make sure that that task is complete in one way or another.
Yes, it's very different, I suppose, in ways that are a little bit difficult to explain very briefly.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean,
but yes, your whole platform is built on, like, you have to curate your own audience, and that's important for social media. I am lucky, I'm fortunate in the fact that I don't necessarily have to curate my own private audience for my work.
I envy you.
Yeah, no.
Well, there's the flip side too, because you have a certain amount of creative freedom. You could interview anybody you want. You don't have
That is
anybody
true.
to answer to. So that's definitely a benefit to that. When you put yourself in the corporate situation, it's different. It's more it feels more stable, but then you give up control to gain that stability.
Right.
Yeah. No, I that's why I kind of invited both of you, because I knew that you were kind of two different types of creatives, and also just, you know, different different bring up and stuff, like, or up and comings, because you know, I know that Post Mod is a podcast, and you know, kind of relying on that social media aspect. And then Ruin, I know that you're an art director and you could care less about about social media.
Oh,
And
let's not go that far.
but you know what I mean. You know, I just think that it's important to see the two different sides, and also just you know, there's more than just being just an artist, and you could still be you know, a podcast, a writer, an animator. Those are all still creators, you know, in our community and things like that. So you know, I just figured I'd ask those questions in particular. Because I just kind of have an understanding of both of you, and you know, I just thought it would be very interesting to kind of hear from both of you at the same time and be like, well, I don't even use it, or you know, nothing that I do on my day to day, I don't use it. So things like that. I guess I myself, it's besides InkBlot, I'm a graphic designer, and my racing company, where I do all my designs, I have, you know, I've created quite the following and have become reliant on social media. So, in an artist sense, I need social media in order to run my other company, and you know, that has been something that I've done for going on 5 years, and just, you know, growing that following. But the whole reason why I'm bringing this up is that, you know, a lot of artists think that, you know, they have to be dependent on social media, and then there's a lot of folks that are like me, who I built that company, I built that income off of social media, and getting it out there, and then all of a sudden, 9-day difference with Instagram, the algorithm absolutely tanked my sales. I mean, I went from, you know, I don't see these numbers anymore because I do other things now, right? So when I was early on in my racing company, basically I was seeing opening night. So I would only open the shop once or twice a month, because opening night I was able to get my income times 2 in just one night. So I had to just close the shop, or else I'd be too overwhelmed. I would get 200-300 orders in one night. That's before all the algorithm mess and everything. And so that was how it used to be. And then after the algorithm started going, and becoming harder and harsher, and you know, they started prioritizing other things. I don't see that. I think I have to keep the shop open every day just to get 200 orders a month. So it's a night and day difference, and it's affecting a lot of people, especially when you make.
Would you say that influenced your decision to start InkBlot?
It did, yeah. So Nathan knows from my interview that's pretty much why. I was getting very frustrated, very you know, I guess, you know, discouraged to do what I wanted to do, and I was like, there's just nowhere that really wanted to listen to us. And I think at the same time, I was also experiencing some frustration with DeviantArt, and that was around the time that Eclipse was coming out. So if you go back to when they announced Eclipse doing a total takeover, then you go back to the founding date of InkBlot, they actually match up. They actually match up. So you'll see that Eclipse rolled out on like the 20th of May 2020, and you'll see that InkBlot popped up May 25th. So, that same year, that same month. So that was very interesting. That's a very interesting fact about that. But I did.
You didn't waste any time.
I did not. I am a person that let's not talk about it, let's be about it. And I just went ahead and was just like, I thought of it, pitched it to some of my friends in the Discord call, and I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's get this done. Let's go about it. I made the landing page that night. I did wireframes on my iPad. I still have them. And I did some sketches in my notebook, and I just went for it. But this is not an interview about me. If you want to hear about the whole story and where I come from and how I did things and where how InkBlot came to be, go ahead and check out Postmodern Art podcast. I am totally butchering that, Nathan.
You're good. I've heard mispronunciation.
Yes. Go ahead and check out Nathan's podcast, because my interview is on there, and definitely, I can't remember what the episode number is, but definitely check out
106.
Wow, look at you. Oh boy, we love to see it. Episode 106. But you know what? You got to watch every single episode before that before you can see it. Go ahead. I'm joking, but
I'm not saying you have to do that, but I would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, we would greatly appreciate it. But definitely check out Nathan's podcast. My interview is on there, but there is a bunch of other interviews. Even I saw some VTubers, and I've been watching those. The PNGTubers, I think those are some interesting ones too. I didn't expect that, but that's on your YouTube, right?
I was saying it is. I was gonna say I didn't expect the VTuber thing until I got into like talking to VTubers and stuff like that. Like especially like the creative well that come from some of them or whatnot.
Yeah.
I've gotten to know so many incredible people from that community. As a matter of fact, before I popped in here, one of my VTuber friends actually helped me with editing a video. Too Much Sasha.
Yeah.
She just debuted like her live 2D model. I think it's actually still going on. But like even then, like it's so incredible. Like just the amount of different artists I've been able to talk to of all sorts of different aspects, and like obviously including Jace, you definitely need to be watching.
yes, definitely. Go ahead, check out Nathan's podcast, and I'll see if we could pop that in there or pop it in the chat if you want to, pop that in somewhere so I can pin it to the chat.
Let me find it. Find it. I just gotta go to.
Oh, there it is. Oh, okay, I see. One of our mods have been putting the links in
they
here.
Got that taken care of. Wonderful.
Nice. Awesome.
Doing the modding things.
Yes, they are. So
thank you, Roland.
With social media, we're being dependent on algorithms and all that other stuff has really just been very discouraging for a lot of folks, and I think that, things are not the way they used to be. It's a pay to play now. Obviously, we're seeing the destruction and chaos that Twitter is causing right now. And that's in and of its own story. We don't even have enough time for that, actually.
No.
But yeah, I think that, it's just, I guess what Rune was trying to say is that you don't need to make or break it, and I think that it's very dependent on what you're trying to do and the journey that you see yourself through. Because if you're a creative type just like Nathan, who does a podcast, and you're relying on meeting other folks through social media or through the internet, then it's kind of hard to be able to say that you wouldn't need social media in that aspect. So I think that, we have a lot of different things to think about. And I also think that, there's a conversation, and Wolf, I want you to kind of chime in on this one. When you see big creators say that numbers don't matter, what are your thoughts?
So I was trying to start my own professional art career around last year, and that's when all the AI stuff happened. So I'm probably not the best person to ask, because it feels like I'm lost.
No, it's okay.
I don't know what path to take, and everything's been jumbled up. I feel like social media could help you. There's obviously multiple paths, though, for how different artists have reached their, different points in their careers based on what they want to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that, there's been trends and movements such as hashtag Portfolio Day, that it's really been helpful in terms of getting a lot of people. Like, I have a friend of mine that literally got a opportunity and still working on that opportunity years later because of Portfolio Day. So
Yeah.
there definitely is pluses and minuses, but I also think that even with such things as portfolio, that you don't even need to have a following, because that's a hashtag. That's a concept that just that doesn't actually need a following to be able to be seen by somebody.
Right. Right. It floats everywhere.
Yeah, it goes everywhere. So I think that putting yourself out there is always number one. And even if you are just starting out, I think that you could still grow, despite the climate that we are in today. I think that it's just very important that folks don't lose faith, or just lose the passion for what they're trying to do, or think that this is the end all, just
Oh,
because
no,
things
no.
are going on. We talked about a bit of how to protect ourselves and how to protect our art and what we're doing to do that. We talked about sites and just trying to understand, like, why are they taking this route to begin with. And I think that there's different paths when it comes to the social media and just using the internet, as a creative in these days. But do you folks have anything to say about social media, or anything of the sort? And if not, that's quite all right, because I know we're wrapping it up here, so I don't mean to keep you any
I
longer
can
than I have to.
respond to Goddle's
Yeah.
kind of comment here. They said the main issue with the numbers don't matter quote is that I feel like they never finish that sentence and give any valuable advice surrounding the issue. The comment, just keep doing what you love XOXO, isn't exactly helpful when you're struggling and doing the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
That's, of course, that's super valuable, and that's,
Mm-hmm.
my heart goes out, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to make generalized statements, like, because every person's creative journey is so individualized, and there's so many different creative fields that you can be shooting for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might, just from kind of their perspective, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
why it's hard to give actual good advice to such a broad audience.
Mm-hmm.
But it certainly is easy to say numbers don't matter when you're one of the heavy hitters on Twitter, getting hundreds of thousands of likes and comments on everything that you do. I understand how that can be so frustrating for a smaller artist.
And I think that that kind of ties back into what we were talking about earlier with, like, people that do things, for voluntary things, and developers that if there's nobody there to say that I'm doing a good job, like, what's going to keep me physically going other than myself? That we all have our bad days where we're just like, oh God, this sucks, I hate doing this. But then it's like, if you have somebody that's cheering you on, it makes you go like the extra mile. It makes another, maybe this is worth doing. You know what I mean? So I understand that there, the process and I guess relationship with getting attention. You know what I mean? It's very important. I mean, there's statues, there's paintings in museums, and like, imagine what the artists think of themselves when they see, like, oh God, like, my art's in the museum, or my art's in a gallery. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a privilege, or that's just like a badge. Like, there's not even like some people don't even get paid to have their art in a gallery, but yet, like, that's like, yes, like, I can keep creating for another 10 years because I did this. Like, this happened to me. You know what I mean? So attention is also, a form of being cheered on and continuing. And I think that, some folks need to, I think, as Rune said, we can't really say that piece of advice will work for everybody. I think that it definitely, I don't think that it should be said when you can't really, because it shouldn't be said on Twitter. How about that? Because there's Twitter nuance. I think, yeah, there needs to be context, and usually those types of tweets or those types of statements are missing a lot of that. And go ahead.
I think it's nice that there are resources for people that want to go at it from different angles, because not everyone is a super social person anyway. So going Runal's route, where I assume she applied to places. Did you apply, Runal, to get your director job?
It's a little bit complicated, but yes, in the more mainstream kind of like LinkedIn, those types of job application.
And then there are also community paths like InkBlot, where if you just want moral support, you can have a community that does that, and then there are, you know, broader places like Twitter if you're specifically trying to get like commissions and stuff from people,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
branch out.
I mean, I think that, you know, there's just several different ways to go about it. You have, I mean, there's people that I would, when I was going to some of the, you know, local car shows, a lot of the car shows here also tied into like a community event or something like that. So there was also pop-up shops or pop-up markets that I would go to locally. And that's where I started. I had like no followers when I started, but locally I have a big presence with my racing company, and I did not have as much of a following as I did online when I first started. And there's artists that literally have they just go to conventions. That's it. They just go to local events, and they make all their sales from there. They don't. I've met artists at those pop-up shops that are like, nope. This is all I do. I just go in person. I don't even know where to start with an online business. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. You know, I was like, good for
There's
you.
a whole world of offline people
Yes,
out there that are...
yes. There's a whole offline thing, and I think that, you know, we get caught up in seeing like, you know, like, gosh, that person has like 2,000 tweets or 2,000 retweets, or, you know, has all these likes, and it's like, nah. There's people that they bringing in the cash, paying the bills offline. Yep. They don't even know nothing about no Shopify or Etsy or nothing like that. I've met them. You know what I mean? And they're doing just fine, if not better. And I was like, good for you. Good for you. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, we definitely need to you know, kind of showcase, or I guess kind of reach out and let people know that it's not gonna be like, if you can't do it this way, it's not the end of the world. That's for sure.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, for
this
sure.
This doesn't define you as an artist.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. And I'm sure that, you know, if we ever did have you know, social media come to an end, I'm sure that we'd see Nathan on the radio, because that was the first podcast.
I wish I had on the radio, sincerely.
I mean, you got the voice for it, yeah, and you have the personality too. That's why I invited you back. I was like, nah, this guy's going places, so I need to. I definitely need to get more.
101.5 Post FM.
Hell yeah! I love it. I love it, honestly. So yeah, I mean, you know, just being around you folks and just kind of, you know, talking to you about these things, and, you know, I think that it's important that, you know, we talk about these things amongst each other, especially in the times that we're in right now, and, you know, I think that, you know, it kind of, I'm good. I don't know about y'all, but I'm like, I can leave this conversation and feel like none of this stuff is going to really, it's all going to be all right. That's how I feel, you know what I mean? Just talking it out and just, you know, kind of hearing you folks and, you know, the knowledge that you've built up and, you know, what other folks have kind of researched into. And it's just like, oh, okay, so, you know, there is something that can be done about this. You know what I mean? And
I think the last thing that I at least want to say at the end of the day when it comes to this whole entire like conversation when it comes to social media and AI is, if I've learned anything since I've gotten into this art community or whatnot, is that the art community will always find a way to help support each other and help us thrive. So even when it seems like everything is crashing around them, and trust me, it seems like that on a daily basis sometimes.
It does.
When the world seems like it's crashing around them, there's a community there that will be right there to help pick you up and let you know, hey, things are going to be okay. We can just gotta keep pushing forward. We are all in this together.
Hell yeah. There's nothing we can't do together, and that's the God's honest truth. So, but hey, I want to have the opportunity for Nathan and Rune to go ahead and give a shout out about anything that you got coming up before we end it today. Viewers, definitely listen up right now. I don't know if you're drawing or you're doing something or maybe writing an essay, but go ahead and tune in a little bit to what Rune and Nathan have to say. Rune, do you have anything coming up that you want to share with the viewers here? Any opportunities or anything?
I don't need to promote my stuff. If you would like to see lots of good art, join InkBlot. And you can find me on InkBlot. I'm at RuneOwl on there as well. If you'd like, it's my new platform that I'm pretty fond of.
So,
and if you're kind of feeling, sorry, go ahead.
Go
Jay.
I was gonna say, don't be shy and talk about your mentorship opportunity that you have, and we have it pinned in the chat. If you're looking for an opportunity to have a mentorship with Rune, Rune has a slot or two open. If you're looking for any direction with the experience that Rune has, would be that Etsy illustration, animation, and a little bit more. You could definitely check out that link that's pinned in the chat. And I think Rune still has a slot or two open, but don't be shy, Rune.
You're so sweet. No, yeah, it's just open if somebody's feeling a little bit directionless or they'd like regular portfolio reviews, that kind of thing, just to kind of help stay on the right track or maybe get motivated or get some tips from an art director. I'm really happy to help the community.
Hell yeah, definitely.
Awesome of you to do that. Wow.
That's so sweet. No, it's really just me trying to give back to the community that I grew out of.
Yes. Hell yeah. And so let's check out what Nathan has before we go. Nathan, you got anything coming up? Any episodes? Anything?
Well, I mean, I always have an episode in the pipeline. Like I said, you can look up the Postmodern Art Podcast on your preferred site, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find your podcast. You can also follow me on most social media platforms at Postmod Art Pod. I'm trying to get away from Twitter, but I think you should definitely look for the InkBlot page that I got, obviously at Postmod Art Pod. And hey, since we're here talking about InkBlot, part of the reason why we're here together, obviously, is for this wonderful membership drive that InkBlot is currently doing right now. And I think that you guys would be a wonderful addition to that drive today. As you can tell by Jay hosting these events and stuff like that, there's a good strong team here that's trying to make sure that we can get this stuff paid for and like really help this thing grow more and more. And if you can tell from that little bar down at the bottom, we're only 85% up there when it comes to gold. That's what, 50% left. I mean, for as little as, what was that, $3 a month, you can be a part of that membership drive. You can help them out. You can also get for some rewards, like, you can get like a cool sketch of maybe like your OC or your characters. I got one from Mr. Moneybag. Shout out to Nero Street, I believe is the artist that did my little sketch.
Yes.
And yeah, I think you should absolutely be a part of InkBlot today.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I couldn't have said it better.
Sketch as well, and it's absolutely adorable. So I think if you don't get a sketch during this, you're missing out on a great opportunity.
Honestly, couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much, Nathan. Thank you, Rune, and thank you, Wolf, for joining us today.
Meeting everybody.
Honestly, we got to do this again, folks. Honestly, I don't know, maybe a summer bash or something. I don't know.
I'm always a message away if you ever want to bring me back. And hey, if you need future ad opportunities, like you can hear the voice, I can surely sing your praises.
Hell yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I will have to hit you up about that. And again, thank you so much for joining us and joining me. I know that I was late, but the show goes on, and it did. And I have a D&D game, and I think I see some of my players in the chat. And I think they're gonna hunt me down. The game might be about hunting me down, so I don't know, but definitely give me about 10 minutes to get that game going. But otherwise, I have to end this stream talk here. Thank you so much for your time, Rune. Thank you, Wolf. Thank you, Nathan. And I will be in touch with you afterwards, and also going to make sure that I throw some of those links down on our Twitter and at you with more thank yous. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna leave it here for right now, and then it's gonna be D&D time.
Thank you so much, all.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to end the stage here, and we will pause the Twitch for now, and we'll get back up very shortly. But you folks, you guys have a great night. Okay.
You too.
You as well.
All right. Bye-bye.